Hi friend, welcome back. So what kind of tea will you be having today? I hear a lot of good things about green tea. I think I heard at one point it's good to prevention of cancer. Don't quote me on that. If you know what green tea does, comment down below. So I'm wondering why all the stores are now selling things from our childhood. Have you noticed, like that fad started years ago? It's like we can relive our childhood. I went in Cracker Barrel and they had this mug. Just getting over the holidays, all of us. Did you make it? Comment down below. I made it. I had a breakdown before the official holiday started. I think it was caused by pre-holiday jitters, but I have a whole nother video on that, a couple videos back you can check out. So I think maybe I got my breakdown, meltdown out of the way. Some emotions that had built up. If we don't deal with our emotions sometimes, they'll deal with us, pretty much. I like that. That's a new quote. If we don't deal with our emotions, they'll deal with us. First of all, I found the holidays a great time to connect with family I had not seen all year. And it reminded me of why I do the holidays, because of that connection with family. We don't see my husband's family that much, even though they live a few houses down. Everyone's always busy, or I make excuses like I'm busy. But getting together, we have so much fun. And it's not prolonged. It's just about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and I can handle that. Eating, so there's activities going on, so I don't feel like I'm having to sit there and do a lot of small talk. So it's manageable for me. And it just reminded me how much we need people, how much we can connect through the holidays. That was one of the positive things I noticed. From having a conversation with my autistic friend, Gwen, I just realized how much many of us struggle during the holidays. My friend Gwen was struggling with family, was staying over at her house with their little kids for a few days. And, you know, as a mother and a grandmother, we feel obligated to behave a certain way. We see how we think moms and grandmoms are supposed to be. And so we feel like a failure if we cannot feel like we come across in a motherly way, I think. We feel like we cannot go take time to ourselves. We feel like if we go take time to ourselves, we're being selfish. Or we wonder what our children or grandchildren will think about us. And I think we just want to please others and our family too much, to sometimes the detriment of our own emotions and feelings, not even taking into account how we're feeling. Sometimes we're willing to put our neck out there and just follow along with whatever the rules are until we reach a breakdown or meltdown, and it's too late. That's happened to me many holiday seasons where I just gave everything I had until the point of meltdown, shutdown. We try to come across as normal, to not be a burden to our families, we think. And we overmask during the holidays. We give more of ourselves during the holidays. It's, for some of you, you're doing more cooking and more visiting, and it's just too much sometimes for us. And we don't realize that until we hit that breakdown. And then we know we overdid it. But for this year, I did not have a breakdown during the holiday. I made it through 4 Christmases. I did a whole lot of stimming on my trip. We had to drive to Florida to see my dad. If you've never heard of Needoh, Needoh, I would highly recommend it. My son, this is his, I took over it pretty much. I love it. I love the way it feels in my hands. I made a video a while back, maybe a year ago. I made some homemade squishies from like Ziploc bags, and I showed you how to make those. And in that video I said I wasn't really a huge fan of STEM toys. I'd probably just continue to just, do what I do with my hands and movements and stuff. I've changed my mind that I really do like STEM toys and that they really do help. Some of you have recommended the Aaron's Thinking Putty, and I bought some at Cracker Barrel. It's pretty expensive. I'll have to try that one too. Neato helps me through the holidays, and this is not sponsored. But my point is, you have to do what works for you during the holidays. We have to figure it out. It's sink or swim pretty much. And as we've become adults and become aware of our autism, we are more fully capable, I feel like, of learning what works for us, what methods we can use, and we can fine tune it for the next year. I will tweak how I do next year because I waited 2 days before Christmas to finish my Christmas shopping. And you talk about stressful, having to go into stores. I know you know how that feels. And it is not something that we enjoy doing. So guess what? I have already started my Christmas shopping for next year. I'm going to pick up things all through the year as their own sale, and I'm not going to go through that again. Another thing that I found out during the holidays is how opinionated I am and how bossy I am, according to someone in my family. What is frustrating is when you feel like you finally want to speak your mind and be yourself, and then it's not received well. That's pretty much what happens to me. When I would be riding in the car, I would tell them if I felt too hot or cold or whatever, with the sun's in my eyes. That was a big thing. The sun in my eyes, that was agitating me, and it was making me cranky and could have led to a shutdown or meltdown had it continued. But I found ways to get around that by putting my jacket up in the window, but just speaking about my needs seemed to make someone in my family make comments about that. And then what brought that to a head was we were staying in a cabin in Florida, and when we were visiting my dad. So they had this notebook, and you could write down your opinions about your stay. So there was a lot of things going on with that motel room, and I started writing the negative along with the positive. And my husband makes a comment. He goes, "Don't write 2 pages." And so I was like, no. I said, I read him what I wrote, and it was about 2 short paragraphs, giving the good and the bad. So my dad always taught me, if you're going to tell someone something negative, tell them something positive first. So I had something like that. But the whole incident of me being criticized in the car by my family, and then criticized about wanting to leave my opinion, just reverted me back to remembering a time when I was myself as a kid, and I would tell you like it was and how I felt. And when I got older, I realized that wasn't received by people really well. People didn't like to always hear my opinions, and I did come across as the bossy kid in the neighborhood, and it took me back to that time when I started masking more because people didn't seem to like who I was when I was opinionated or speak my mind. And so that's been my way of life for many, many years, hiding what I really want to say and giving you something that's not so much what I want to say, but what I think you want to hear. And who does that help? It doesn't give you my authentic self, first of all. And 2, it dashes my self-esteem, and it makes me hide inside of myself more. During childhood, I was my truest self, and I learned from other people to stop being my true self. it came across wrong. I didn't know, of course I didn't know I was autistic, and neither did they, my friends. But it was definitely an issue when I wanted to express my opinions, and I lost friends over it, not knowing why. And I ended up learning how to express myself through my photography, through poetry, song lyrics I would write, creating things. I think that was the beginning journey of my being a content creator in many forms. And I think a lot of us as autistics probably do the same thing. If we feel like we can't express our opinions, we are doing it in some manner or another. So I had to have a conversation with my husband about how he made me feel kind of crappy in the moment. How he made me feel like he was telling me what to do and saying, don't write 2 pages. And I told him that I feel like sometimes around my family, I can't be myself. I have to give them this masked version of myself. And who wants to do that? When you feel like you have to mask around everybody else and you're trying not to be at home around your family and feel like you have to mask, that just seems like it shouldn't be a thing. I think that 2025 for me is going to be a year about unmasking more, being more of myself, trying to learn how to get rid of this mask that's been here for 40 years plus of my life. It's a challenge, and I've watched other autistic YouTube creators talk about what a challenge it is for them as well. It's not easy when you have trained yourself to go in another direction. We worry that people won't like us if they see the true us. We worry that people will shut themselves out from us, and we'll lose friends. But I want to tell you something about friendship. I have finally learned what friendship is, and that'll be a whole nother video. But through this community, through you guys and interactions with you, I'm finally learning what real friendship is, and the many different ways it can present itself is okay from person to person. Whatever friendship you have online, someone at, in your neighborhood, someone at work, it's different things with different people. But all that still leads back to friendship. It's not this romanticized version of we're going to be best friends and we're going to do each other's toenails and listen to each other's all problems we have. It's not like that what the movies and TV and books tell us. I'm going to make a video on that because friendship has been one of those things that has just been the mystery of the universe for me. So I'm glad I'm finally getting somewhere where I understand it. So I thank you so much for watching this video, and if you hung on there till the end, thank you. If you really enjoyed this video, I'll put another one here that you might enjoy, so stick around with your tea and watch another video. Bye.